Hey everybody, it's Adam and Jill, and we had this kind of crazy idea to come back and talk about kind of the last year plus for Jill and I, because in 2019 we became kind of we didn't know what we were getting to exactly, but we became kind of public figures, and then ran for election, won, and uh, was the sheriff for 4 years, which was very public. And then we've kind of, after losing the election in 2023, kind of didn't go quiet, didn't go silent, but haven't been as, what do I say, as upfront publicly with all the stuff that we've had going on. But we both get asked quite a bit over the course of the last year, just on a personal level. Hey, what are you doing? Did you stay at the sheriff's office? What have you been up to? What's this real estate thing you have going on? Are you leaving? All that type of thing. And then we've been talking about doing like a podcast thing because I really enjoy that setting. I think Jill will learn to love that setting. And because I did it when I was the sheriff, but it was much more official, like business stuff, like community oriented business and things like that. Whereas we can say whatever the heck we want to say in this one. So it might be a little funner. But hey, and so we just thought we'd try this format kind of while we're at home and get everybody caught up. And the cool thing that I like about a podcast is if it's cool and you want to listen to it, you can listen to it. If you think we're full of it, you can hit stop or scroll on or do whatever you want to do. So that part is cool. So this is this first one, at least that we know we're going to do. It's just going to we're going to recap the last year, but we're not going to go on and on about it. So don't worry about that. But we've had, since that election year, 23, which that's a podcast in itself, and that'll be another day. I do want to dive into that, but that's going to be some other time. But that was a tough year for us. And for those of you who didn't know us, like on a deeply personal level, we worked really hard during the election, but we had a lot of personal stuff going on. So in that re-election year, we were building our house, trying to finish that. I had the harebrained idea of trying to flip a home in Whatcom County, but be down here and running for election. And let me just say, while we did pull it off, it was not easy. That was draining. I will never do another one in Whatcom County. So anyway, we had that going on. So we had the transition with living in a fifth wheel to trying to get into our home. And all of that was culminating in the month of November 23, which was the election month. So needless to say, we had a lot going on, but I think we're gonna pick up kind of post-election. Is that what we decided? Kind of like what we've been doing since, and we can get into that other stuff if we want to. But no, winning is way more funner than losing. That's for dang sure. And I didn't say a whole lot. I think I did one social media post after the election that got quite a bit of attention, and I didn't do any follow-up. It's a downer. It's no fun losing, especially after working for a year of your life. I told myself I wasn't going to get into this yet. I didn't like how the election went. I didn't like how the stuff was said. I didn't like how it was covered in the media. Again, I'm more than willing to dive into that. That's just not what we want for this one. So you need to shut me up about this stuff because I get going on that stuff and I'll talk forever. But this is more just getting the community an update, if you care, on where we're at, and like, are we leaving Snohomish County? Are we going to bail? Because Washington State is just so crazy, especially right now with them being in session. It's great. Oh, we're going to go down that road. Yeah, just maybe not today.
Not yet.
That's what this stuff is for. So anyway, so post-election, we lost. Well, the main decision was what am I going to do, right? Because that was my job. And I'll be honest, of all the drama, the feeling, the loss, all that type of stuff, this decision wasn't a hard one for us, where I'm staying at the sheriff's office. I had, I think, 27 or 28 years at the time. And I'm still, to this day even, and then was super passionate about the job. So heck no, it wasn't easy. I didn't want to work for her. I just lost to her in the election. And we had so much cool stuff going on, that carries on to the next administration. That I wanted to see come to fruition, but that didn't turn out that way. So we had to put our big boy pants on, or I did anyway, and figure out what are we going to do. So I was going to stay at the sheriff's office, and which I've done. I'm still there to this day, so that question's answered. And that was pretty easy decision. A lot harder to come to fruition and really, get back into the swing of things. Going from sheriff to sergeant's quite a leap, and now I've done it in both directions. Learned a lot. But I'm talking way too much. So do you remember that time? I mean, you remember that, what,
November.
because we had some decisions to make, what we're going to do, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
What was going through your head? Are you glad I stayed?
of course I am.
Yeah. Okay.
You bleed tan and green,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and no, I don't think it was. I mean, yes, it was a hard decision, but you love that place.
I do.
You love the people you work for,
100%.
work with. So no, I knew you were gonna stay. I just wanted it to be right for you
Yeah, I think it is.
and be able to enjoy going to work every day, which you had, in the past.
Well, I've said that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I said that when I was running. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why people ask why you're running. It's, well, I love what I do. I love going to work every day.
I just wanted you to be happy.
Yeah, and it's not every day. And then, like, when we say this, we're not like trying to paint a picture that's all, every day is perfect when you go to work. That's not what we mean. But when I look back on a dang near 30-year career now, yeah, I'm super passionate about what I do. I love what I do. Do we have days I'd rather be at home? Oh yeah, absolutely. But love my job. I'm still super passionate about it. And one thing that maybe, Jill, you didn't so much see, but I know we've talked about, is, so you go back to work and you're in uniform, and we wear name tapes, so everybody sees the name now for me, and I can see him thinking, and some are super outgoing and will just blurt it out, weren't you the sheriff? Aren't you the sheriff? And then other people, I go, it's okay, yes, I was the sheriff. And you kind of have to answer their own question that you can see them thinking about, but they won't put it into words. So I have been asked a lot, like, what we're doing, and then I've been asked a lot. I was surprised at how many both people at work and in the community were, one, surprised by me saying, but two, very pleased. And that's caught me kind of by, because to us, like we just talked about it, it wasn't that big a, it's like, yeah, I'm staying at the sheriff. Of course I'm going to stay at the sheriff's office. I'm going to go do my job.
If we're being completely transparent, I think we were a little worried about retaliation.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Which we dealt with a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
That was also not a fear, but just a concern. You going back out there and certain people, coming after you a little bit.
Yeah.
And a little bit.
Yeah, because it's we've had quite a bit of time to think about it now. Mm-hmm. I can't think of another scenario in the state of Washington where a sheriff has lost an election and then goes back to work as like a road worker. I don't know that that's ever been done before in the state of Washington. It could have, but I am definitely not aware of it. But yeah, it's been good. So I came back to patrol, which is what I've always done. So again, is it awkward? It was a little weird, yeah, but it was cool. It's cool coming back as a sergeant, ran a patrol crew at our North Precinct, and then something people might not have expected from me, I think, or especially people that know me real well. There was a job opening for sergeant in our office for Office of Neighborhoods. That's kind of, I call it our outreach teams. It's 2 deputies, it's a sergeant, and they're paired with social workers. And they go out in the streets of mainly South Everett every single day. And they're offering people resources, but they also do the enforcement part of that too. So if people are being dumb, then they get arrested, they go to jail. But they're kind of freed up to do that job. And it's funny because when I was the sheriff, I stood that unit down in the summer. I think it was the summer of 22, because we were really worried about staffing that summer. It'd been the 4 years I was in office was crazy, like every day. But that summer we were really worried, and the decision ended up to be mine. Of course, we roundtabled it with everybody, but the decision ends up with me. And I stood down that unit, got a lot of criticism for it. At that moment in time, I think it was the right thing to do, because we had to answer 911 calls. We just had to, and we have to be able to give people vacations and things like that. That's one of the things in business or public sector you have to be able to do. So we did that. Anyway, fast forward, and here I am testing for the job that I discontinued. But I did bring back. It was only a 6-month thing. It was a temporary thing. We bring them back. It was a huge learning curve for me, actually. Now that I've been in there and I've talked to the same people that I stood down, right? And when I come from patrol is, I won't not complaining, because the complaints or criticism is valid about staffing in patrol, and it's something I go on now 30 years of the sheriff's office, always been a topic for conversation. But when I stood down Office of Neighborhoods, and again, I think it was 22, the complaints completely turned on its head, and patrol wanted Office of Neighborhoods back because of the impact they would have both on the community and within patrol, because they deal with a lot of stuff that either patrol doesn't have the time to put the effort into, or they're dealing with, 15, 20, 30 911 calls a day. Who's going to get out and talk to the person that might be addicted to substances on the street? That might not be first on your, it's just not, right? And so patrol was screaming for Officer Neighborhoods to be back, brought them back. And now here I am, we'll say the spring of 2024, I'm the sergeant of that same unit. And so, again, I was just getting my legs under me in patrol. I tested for it. I came out okay. I came out on top, but there was a leg between the testing and then when you get the position. And so I got the position, and man, I was not certain I did the right thing at all. Still happy I stayed at the sheriff's office overall. Again, that was pretty much a no-brainer. But coming from patrol, coming from, just the all enforcement part of stuff, I was like, man, I don't know. Because I knew that so well, and this was a new job to me, and considered, I won't say seriously, but thought I made the wrong decision. I need to go back to patrol and things like that. But I said no. I said I was going to give this a go. I'm going to give it a go, and I'm so glad I stayed with it. Very happy with what I'm doing at the Office of Neighborhoods. I'm very happy to see. We've seen a few success stories since I've been in there, and they're few and far between. Just being honest. It's hard to turn people that are.
Tell me what happens when you're down there and you come across somebody that's definitely addicted and need help. What happens when they say no?
That's the thing, is most people tell us no. I mean, the vast
Why do you
majority
think they
of people,
say that?
because they're not, the fentanyl has a grip of their minds, the methamphetamine has a grip of their minds, and they're not like, they're so addicted, they're just worried about that next fix. They're not thinking, yeah, long term in 10 years, I want to be clean, and this will be the first step towards redemption, and things like that. And they're not in a frame of mind to make that decision, at least when we see them on the street. This is the good thing about what we do. And even when I was the sheriff, I think we should be doing both of these things. We have to do the enforcement part. So if they're using dope in public, that's a trip to county every single time in my book. It doesn't matter. Even in my role, that's what we do. But the social workers are there with us. They talk to the people. They tell them about the programs that they offer. And to almost every single person, very few will refuse. They'll take a business card from a social worker. And then, when we're riding around doing our daily stuff, their phone rings off the hook. And it could have been someone they talked to a month ago, a week ago. It could have been 8 months ago. Maybe they've reached that moment in their life where, like, this sucks. It's cold out here. I need to get off the street. And they make that phone call. It's really done me good for the last 8, 9, 10 months to really see that side of things and to see that it does work.
And when they make that phone call, do they go to the center where all the services are offered? What's that called?
Sometimes, yeah. We have the Carnegie building there.
Center.
That's kind of the one-stop shop for services. We have the diversion center where people go who are ready to start that path towards treatment. It's kind of a temporary housing thing. And so, yeah, and it's a long road for the people. I'll give them. It's hard. It's hard work. But I've seen it now to where, especially one, I won't use names or anything like that, but you've seen, like, when you're driving the streets of Everett and the people are hunched over all because they're so high, they're out of their minds. That was how I encountered this young man one day. And then I ended up committing him. He got contact while he was in the emergency room, got him into treatment, finished treatment, and then I got to go see him when he was done with treatment. And the cool thing about that is you can tell when the drugs have a grip of somebody and their demeanor. I call it the spirit. That's the important word for me. And their spirit of that young man had completely changed in the 4, 5, 6 weeks since I had seen him. So it's cool to see that part of it. And again, some of it, especially when we first started this stuff back in the day, I was one of the critics of it. I was like, social workers, come on, we're cops. Let us do cop stuff. And that's kind of where I come from. And that's why I was a little hesitant in the beginning, but they do a lot of the cop stuff. That's the thing. It's just, they do both. It's really cool to see both. And I think most people have come to that conclusion, especially I can only speak for Snohomish County, where you got to be doing both. Should we offer people a different path? Is that a government role? I think it is to a certain extent, but it's also our role that if they're making people victims of crime, in the community, or they're smoking dope in public, all of that has community impacts. Yeah, that's still a trip, right? So you do some of the cool stuff, getting people help, but we're out there arresting people all the time.
So all of those no's you get, that one success story makes it all worth it.
It does. Yeah, I can honestly say that. And again, I don't say that to say it's a solution.
No.
Because right after that, I'll say, I don't think there is one solution for the drug epidemic in the United States of America.
Mm-mm.
Because if there was one solution out there, all of the smart police executives in the world would be going, hey, that looks really cool.
Mhm.
It's working. Let's mirror that here in our jurisdiction, fit it for our jurisdiction, and then that'll work. But that's not happening anywhere. And if it, like I said, if it was, we'd all be doing the same thing, and the epidemic would go away. But we're not quite there yet as a society. We're just not. So it's a lot about my work.
It's good.
Yeah,
You're
it's
doing
been
good
good.
stuff.
So still at the sheriff's office. Yeah, I have no intention on leaving the sheriff's office or anything like that. I'm just not done with public safety. Is there other stuff I want to? Yeah, I'll usually have like 10 or 15 things going in my head at a time. So I got to filter those out sometimes and really concentrate on ones I can have an impact. But I will be in public safety at the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office for the foreseeable future, for sure. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It is.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, there's times I've been frustrated. Oh yeah, there's days. Like a couple of Fridays ago, I already told you this. I quit like 3 times in one day, I think. But that's
normal.
That's life.
In like
that's
in
normal life
everybody's
stuff.
job.
Yeah. So
I mean, I do the same thing. We're not going down
I
that
think
path.
we better.
We're just
we
let's
better
the
not.
next.
That's a lot of my work.
That's a
We didn't
lot.
want to talk about sheriff's office the whole time.
That's okay.
But
Tell me about living in an RV.
RV live-in. We did that.
Well, let's go back to how it all started. We bought this land and
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it's good for people to hear that
I
story.
do. I like
Actually,
the story.
and I
It's a
like
good
that.
story.
Like our own children have heard this story, and well, they've lived it with us, so it's a little bit different.
Well, we lived in Lake Stevens. Start where we lived.
Lived in Lake Stevens for 20 years. Great house. Loved it there. Actually raised our kids there. Fantastic. Love the community. Actually, we were tied in really well in Lake Stevens.
It's a great location.
And then we got to tell the story.
Tell the story.
Okay, so you got to help me though. So
Okay.
we were kind of casually looking. We wanted a piece of land is what we wanted. Again, always lived in the neighborhood, things like that. We're like, man, we just want some acreage, be on our own. It'd be great to build our house someday. Didn't know if we'd ever be able to pull something like that off. And so I'd say very casually we were looking. Didn't have like a realtor working with us or anything. Just we would sometimes look. And so our family knew that. And your mom was living in Buffalo, Wyoming at the time. Okay, but she had planned to move out to here to be closer to the grandkids. So moving from Buffalo, Wyoming to Snohomish County. And she was going to her last dentist appointment in Buffalo, Wyoming before moving out here. Get one more dentist appointment in. And so, there's always small talk when you're at the dentist. And it was, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm getting ready to move here, Snohomish County. He goes, and the dentist told her, and correct me if I get in this wrong, this is how I remember it though, is, well, that's interesting because I used to live in Snohomish County, town outside of, I don't know what the term he used, outside of Everett. Granite Falls is what he said. And I've been trying to sell some land there for years and it's been on and off the market and I just can't sell it. And, but your mom at the time didn't know the geography of Snohomish County real well. And she's like, so when they're discussing it, it probably seemed like, oh, it was like, really, really
Big
close.
space.
It ended up to be. And, so they're like, well, that's funny because where I'm moving to, my daughter and then me, they're looking for land out there. And well, why don't we just talk further and we'll get them the address? And I kid you not, it was right outside of Granite Falls in Arlington. And we're like, that's just a crazy story. I can't even remember. Was it listed at the time?
No.
I don't think there was a sign or anything.
There wasn't a sign, but they had a realtor. We met with that realtor
that had listed
she
it.
had listed
it. The same realtor had just tried to sell this piece of land and was just getting nowhere. And then there was an old mobile home on it, 1970s mobile home. Like think of one of the worst mobile homes you could think of, and that was what was on here, right?
Not pretty.
And there were some people living in it at the time, which was fine. And we ended up, long story. I won't, maybe it'd be a story for another day on the real estate one, because it's interesting how we ended up getting the land. But so it ends up working out where we went through, I think, 8 banks before we can, to finance. It's hard. It was very hard, but we really wanted this piece of land. So it worked out. The people that were living in it at the time bailed like 2 weeks before closing. Yeah. And that changed because we were just going to, set up, rent to them. That was because we didn't want to live there right away. We just wanted to buy it and own it. And then hopefully, that would be our home someday, maybe retirement or something like that. And they moved. And so that had to change our plans. So we went in and this was our first venture into actual real estate, which again, that's a whole podcast because I love that topic. but we had to redo the whole thing. We had never rehabbed the home. We had never done anything like it. And this was a mobile home, 1970s. And literally, like the bathroom floor was falling in. Oh, yeah, it was crazy. And so the bathroom came down to the studs. We had to redo everything in the bathroom. That came down.
We repainted.
All the flooring came out. Kitchen cabinets came out. Replumb, little things like that where we had to fix. And it took a while. We did, I'd say 90% of that on our own.
We did.
Yeah, like the carpet and stuff we hired out. Had a little bit of labor help here and there. And then it was a nice place. It was a decent place when we got done with it.
It was nice.
And then for the next, I always get this time frame mixed, 7-8 years, we rented that place out, right? Was it 7? Just say 7.
Yep,
it's
7.
7-ish years. We just rented the house out. And that had been our plan all along. Almost went off without a hitch. It really wasn't too big a deal.
Great renters.
And provided a great, home on a beautiful piece of property for somebody to live in. And we stayed in Lake Stevens, which was our plan. And then in
was it
2022, we got serious about maybe it's time.
It was time.
Well, I was the sheriff at the time.
Yeah. It was time.
And it was time where we wanted to be out. A couple more of our kids had graduated.
Well, the market was really good for house.
Market was
we got
good.
In just at the end of the.
We didn't get the crazy time in the market in 2022, but we got it before it kept going on. So we did okay.
We jumped on
We did okay. So we listed our home in Lake Stevens with the intention of moving into the mobile home that was on the property until we could figure out how we're going to build, if we're going to be able to build all that kind of stuff. And then we were also going to have a fifth wheel just because we're out of room. We didn't have room we had
everybody.
2 kids at home at the time.
Here. Yeah.
And it just wasn't big
enough.
enough.
Both in high school.
And so we bought a fifth wheel. Friends, great friends. Thank you to this day for all of your work that you helped us do to make the clearing in the backyard, put a fifth wheel back there.
Bringing the fifth wheel in.
Yeah, we need an expert to make that turn, and it wasn't me. I could not do. No, it's 43-foot fifth wheel trailer. And then for the next dang near 2 years, we lived in a fifth wheel, and for a portion of that time, we did have the mobile home as well. But we decided to take the plunge and kind of build the home that we kind of dreamed of. I think it's fair to say.
Absolutely.
Took us 8 years to get there. It wasn't overnight. A lot of saving and things like that. And I had met some people along the campaign trail that were builders and kind of big builders, and knew the owner. He had done events for me and stuff like that. And we were getting serious. And I said, well, let me talk to him and see what he says. He's like, yeah, it's a great idea, but we don't do that. We don't do like one-off homes or something like that. And so the answer was no. And then I still can't remember. I went back to him months later and said, hey,
waited a while.
Yeah, it was a while. And said, hey, this is what we're thinking. Would you reconsider? And he ended up saying yes. And boy, once he said yes, things just started moving because we kind of had our plans and stuff at that point. And so I'll get more into I'm going to keep this moving for everybody.
Keep going.
So boom, we're building our home. So the first thing that needs to go is the old house mobile home that's in the way of the new home. So we move the trailer. We buy a second trailer for our teenager that's still at home because we didn't have the room. And so that came with a lot of work. We had to put utilities in and all that. New septic system, all that, which we had to do for the house anyway, which was fine. We just had to do it earlier than we thought. And then for the build for 2000, I'd say, what was it, late 22.
All of 23.
No, this was 20. We didn't break ground until 23.
No, we didn't start until spring of 23.
We were running. That was one of the crazy things about running for re-election and building a home. Never again. I don't know what I was thinking. I like being busy, but that was too much.
We ran a campaign out of a fifth wheel trailer.
Did. Yeah, we did. We didn't win, but we did a good job. Okay, so we lived in the fifth wheel, and winters were horrible. I mean, it's comfortable in there, but it's just you run out of propane all the time.
It was rough.
Man, in the cold weather, the pipes freeze. I could never figure figure out how to do that right.
But it was good.
But it was good. In the spring and summer, it's beautiful. It was great. But the winters were a little tough. But we got to be parked literally 50 feet away from where we're building our home. So one of the things that Jill and I decided to do early on at each stage of the home, actually every day, it was every single day. I'd come home from work and we would walk what had been done that day. And sometimes you'd see a ton of progress and go, wow, that's cool. Other days it's super slow. But the build overall went super quick, way quicker than I ever thought.
Mhm.
And so in that, kind of backed up a little bit. But that was election year. But yeah, we did
was.
that. We watched our house be built, and we're in it now, and have been, and we're very happy. It's great, beautiful home. Acreage is
Mhm.
just that's why we bought it 8-9 years ago now. But yeah, so we're done with
That's
the
great.
fifth wheel stuff. No more of that.
Never
We're
again.
not really campers or anything,
Mm-mm.
so that's
We
gone.
couldn't sell those fast enough.
No, we it took a while, but we finally did. Anyway, so that's kind of what's part of our last
It's part of
year,
our
year
story.
plus. So yeah, stayed at the
we
sheriff's
moved in
office
2 weeks after election night.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks after election. That's
That's
how
how
close
fast it
everything
was.
culminated
Yeah.
in the month of November 2023.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Our election night party was here
Yeah.
with scaffolding.
Downer, yeah. We had scaffolding, and actually we
We
still had
did.
paper on the floors.
We had paper on the floors.
Kind of a kitchen.
Yeah.
We had water, but the well ran out.
There was no heat.
Yeah, no heat.
Mm.
It was
It was
but we
fine.
made it work.
It was good.
It was good.
We had
Yeah,
a good time.
would have been rather celebrating a win.
That's all right.
But anyway, so yeah, and then so that's kind of that gets us to where we had more stuff going on even
2024.
Yeah, because so losing the election, again, I've mentioned real estate a few things,
Mhm.
and if you've seen my posts in 2024, I'm kind of in that, but it's not a new thing for us because our real estate started when we redid that mobile home I just got done talking about, and then we've done some. I always call it small time investing. I'm a hands-on guy. I want to know where my investment, like they're tangible things. Like if a rental house burns down, we have insurance, we can rebuild it. Whereas the stock market stuff, I'm just personally not good at that. I think there's a case to be made for any or all of those things to be doing, but our thing became real estate
it was about
going
the same time.
Going on 10 years now.
Yeah.
And so we've been in that game for a while, but I never had a license. I never, represented people or bought or sold real estate in that way. We just invested. And, I decided that was the next step, both for investing and maybe a local career here. So did the real estate thing at the end of 23, got licensed in 24, and I got on with John L. Scott Arlington in, I think, February of 2024. Still there, still doing it. And so if people it's kind of weird posting this stuff because it's been a sheriff page for so long, and then here I am doing real estate. I don't know what people think, but I guess I don't know that it matters, but I just want people to think that I'm like super passionate about all of that stuff. And am I planning for the future? Yeah, you bet. I just don't know when that will be yet. I just don't know. It's just that's something that I have come to just really love, and is probably as equally passionate about public safety and law enforcement as I am in real estate. I mean, we're still active, very active in that game, doing out-of-state stuff. I've talked to other people about it. Most people think you're crazy when they figure out that we buy rental homes in Ohio. But
it's the Buckeye State.
I know that's
okay.
Jill's family's from Ohio. Let's be clear.
In Ohio, so
yeah,
no better place to invest.
This year, you're right. Yeah, they did very well this year. So
that's its own podcast.
It will be too, because I love talking about that stuff. But
football or real estate?
No, definitely real estate.
Okay.
I mean, I can talk about football, but no one wants to listen to me about football. I don't know what I'm talking about. So
okay.
But anyway, so yeah, real estate's a big deal. I'm still doing it. And so, yeah, I love John L. Scott Arlington. They have been just fantastic for me. They're really good with like new agents like me, like teaching the ropes and classes every single week. I feel super supported. And they know that I still have the other job and they're cool with it. And so just the people who, I don't want to use names because I don't have their permission, but the people who have helped me with that, there's several. Thank you guys for that. It's been really cool. And you never know we were a public name for 4 years, and then coming into something like that, but super gracious, and very supportive of the real estate stuff. So again, we'll just see where that takes us.
It's nice to see your hobby fruition into a career.
It could be, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's nice to see that.
Yeah. It's a much harder learning curve than I ever thought, because you have in your mind, like, yeah, I've been kind of in the game a little bit. It's a different way of doing things, but no, it's completely different. It is having a quality real estate broker advise you through those times. I have learned there's a lot to it.
But you've got a couple under your belt.
Oh yeah. No, we've started. Absolutely.
Really good.
Yeah, a couple clients this year.
Fantastic.
And I love it. I love being available for people, and I've bought and sold a lot of homes, and we know how important that is for each and every individual. It's a big financial deal, probably one of the biggest financial deals that most people will go through.
Well, and it's stressful too.
It is absolutely stressful.
So to have a broker like we had when we were selling our Stevenson, it made a big difference because that's stressful.
Yeah. Yeah, he was cool.
So to have you on their side will only if you're selling or buying a home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reach out.
Just let me know. Be able to love to help you. I say it this way: I'll interview for the job. How about that?
There
Just
you
sit down
go.
and have a conversation. And
This isn't a business plug, though.
no, well,
Sorry.
it's not, but it can be
It
because
can be.
it's our thing, so we can do what we want.
True.
No, but yes, I'm in the game. No, I'm not leaving the sheriff's office. It's just something in addition I wanted to do, and I'm gonna spend some time getting to learn the ropes there, and I absolutely love it. That's where my passion is at. I'm passionate about several things still.
Absolutely.
So, all right, what else? What did we do in 2024?
Did you travel anywhere in 2024?
Did you travel anywhere?
We did.
Yeah.
We took some time.
Yeah.
We went to Ohio.
We did.
Is that the first place we went to? We hadn't taken a vacation in a long time.
No, I think we
Because
did
of
one time
everything.
during the election. It just we did take.
We had to
little bit
go
of
do
time.
some work in Ohio.
Yeah, we went to Ohio, did work.
But in 2024, we went for vacation in Ohio.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Yeah, it's good.
See some
It's different.
family.
All of Jill's family is from Ohio, if you don't know. So that's why we go back there, stay with her dad when we're back there. It's great seeing everybody.
Went to an amusement park.
That's your
Cedar
thing.
Point.
That's your thing, not my thing. I walked around. They did all the roller coasters.
Yeah, we also went to.
I ate.
That is true. Okay. Yeah, it was fun.
I'm just not a roller coaster guy,
That's
man.
okay.
I used to be, but no.
I am.
But it was cool watching you have all.
But I
all
got to
that
take
fun.
Abby, our youngest. Yep. Oops, I didn't want to use names.
That's
but
all right.
we took, and my sister and my father, and we all went and spent the day at the amusement park and had a great time. And went back to Ohio, back to my hometown for a couple more days. It's always relaxing to go back.
It is
to Ohio. It's just different.
Different
than here.
pace. Good food.
We do eat a lot.
We eat a lot while we're there.
It's just different. The food is different, so it's always nice to. I call it like home.
It is different.
Yeah,
it's just different. I mean, Western Washington is just super fast paced, and we live it every day, so it's not that big a deal to us.
Right.
But when you go back and feel a different pace, a different part of the country, that's when it impacts you, I think. Because it is. It's just different.
It's just. There's no traffic jams.
No, nothing.
There's
like that.
There's no traffic. There's no. I think they did get a couple roundabouts though.
There are.
That's a big deal. Then in our little hometown, you're right. It's nice to see you relax.
Yeah, it's good. And our real estate team's back there. I'll keep talking about that.
Yeah,
we always take time.
Yes.
It's a family trip, but we always take time to meet our team back there. And actually, we've become fairly close with them. Mm-hmm. One quick story on that. Right. The realtor that we used to use back there, but we still keep in touch with him because we're kind of part of his team. I think I'd purchased an investment property through him, got to know him. He was managing our property. He did both. And in the chaos of 2020, remember, I was sheriff. And I had made national news early on.
Yes.
And this realtor back in Ohio saw me on national news and goes, "Hey, I know that guy. I sold him a house." And then every time we see each other now, he tells me that same story.
That's true.
And it's funny now. It was stressful at the time, but it is funny because that's just all the way across the country, man. Anyway, okay.
You're big time.
No, that's not what I meant. So we did Ohio.
Yes, we did Ohio.
And then we did something even more crazy.
We did. We went international. Our first international trip.
Yep. Never been out of the country.
Nope. We went to, if I could do a drum roll, I would, but we went to South Korea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Why? Why'd we go?
Why'd we go? Well, we were invited by a friend of ours who invited us through an organization called American Korean United Society.
Exactly. ACUS.
ACUS, yes. Yep. It's to generalize it, it's an organization that is trying to get the Americans and the Koreans to come together, and you show us your society, we'll show you ours. And this time around, they were bringing Americans to Seoul and Busan, right?
Yeah. Busan.
And so
Started
we did that, but it did start in Seoul. We'll get through that in a minute. But the other reason we wanted to go is because one of our children are over there teaching English to children at an embassy school. So it was just two things came together that was absolutely perfect. And we're like, yeah, we're in. So we went. It was only 7 days. Mm-hmm. We were there for 7 days.
Flew in early. Got to hang out with our child, or one of the kids, for that full day, which was amazing. Yep. Seoul was incredible. It was pretty cool.
It was, I don't know. I don't think I can speak for you. Never thought we'd go to South Korea. Like, never even crossed my mind. Typically we find white sands and beaches, right? But we with this society and our child being over there, we're like, absolutely, let's go. And that first full day we spent with Emma,
It's okay.
we spent with our child, and she showed us the ropes, her school, her apartment. We ate some good Korean barbecue, which Adam really likes. And then the next 6 days we were in this tour bus. We were on a bus.
The ACUS tour.
The ACUS tour. And, we had to drive for, how many, 6 hours?
Dude, they didn't mess around.
6 hours in a tour bus from Seoul down to Busan, which was an oceanside town, city.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. But we got to stop at the DMZ.
Yep.
Got to look over into North Korea. That was an experience all in of itself.
It was amazing.
And then we kept driving down. Beautiful city of Busan. We got to do lots of touring and shopping, and we got to do a couple conference things and just meet some really incredible people. I'm just blown away by the South Koreans. The cities were absolutely in perfect condition. There was no litter, no trash, no drugs on the streets. There was nothing. It was so incredible. Everybody's so gracious and nice, and the food was interesting.
We got to say something about ACUS too, because as an organization, we went back to support them.
Yeah.
And so when we were on these buses, and most of the people who came from America were kind of on one bus with Koreans, and we kind of had someone assigned to us for translation.
Was there 8 of us?
Paul?
I think there's 8
Remember
Americans.
Paul, the military guy?
Oh yes.
He was so cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like we were busy. They would go from like 7 a.m. and there were times that one night of the conference, we didn't get back to like 9:30, 10. It was a long day. But it was busy. But just getting to like, I don't know, it was so cool.
Just to be immersed in somebody else's
Yes.
culture that we would never have seen ever in our lifetime was just so eye-opening. And we learned so many things about South Korea and their people and their culture and we went to that POW camp, which was incredible.
It is amazing how the impact of the Korean War still has for people in South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they talk about it like it was yesterday, where we don't do that here.
No,
we're several generations, moved on, but for them, it saved their lives back then from North Korea coming down. I didn't realize that, being an American, how big a deal it is to this very day. So that was cool. People were awesome. When we did get to Busan for the conference, it was amazing. Just gorgeous beaches. Beautiful. And everything there. Yeah, it was cool. I'm going to do one story because it's funny. The last night we were there, we all go to dinner and lunch and all that, breakfast. We'd all do that together.
And it was Korean food. Like there's no American restaurants. It was all like authentic.
Yeah. And that Korean last night,
food.
it's a pretty nice place we went to, and we kind of took it over because there were so many of us. And you were sitting with people that you didn't know, like different parts. Maybe they were on a different bus during the conference and things like that. And so we're sitting there, and we're just conversations over dinner. And there's this couple next to us that spoke English, but broken English, but we could communicate. And it ends up they were from like the Bothell area. They knew Snohomish County, and then they asked what I did. So, I'm in public safety. I've been doing it for like 30 years, and this is so crazy. And like if you're a cop in Snohomish County, you will know how crazy this is. But if not, I'll try to explain it the best I can. He goes, well, that's funny because I run the Chevron station at 405 in Beardsley. And I'm in shock because 405 in Beardsley, the station there, the gas station there, that's where we drop all our warrant people when we do warrant meets. So if we arrest somebody and they have like a King County warrant or something like that, that is our meeting place where the other agency will pick us up. And I explained all this to him in my English, and he's trying to understand. And anyway, and then I remember he got up and we're shaking hands at that point because it was almost like we've known each other forever, but really we had just met over dinner. But it was that one conversation. We're sitting at a beach town in South Korea. I'm sitting across the dinner table from someone I had never met, and he is from Snohomish County. Not only that, I probably dropped, I don't know how many people that were under arrest in his parking lot in the middle of the night and transferred custody, and they went down to King County. Anyway, I think that's a cool story. As a cop, if you're not a cop, you might not care, but it's cool. It's that kind of stuff that is so cool. So,
what do you think about the food in South Korea?
Some of it was great. Some of it, no. No. It was
I'm not adventurous as you are.
when we went to lunch after the POW camp.
Yeah.
Everybody was hungry because we walked the camp. We're all hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And we all, again, walked into one restaurant, sat down. And one of the people in the ACUS members was trying to tell us, are you ready for the crab or something like that?
It was an authentic
yeah.
delicacy.
And I don't think I understood completely.
No.
It was raw crab. It was
like
raw
legit
baby crab.
gray,
Yeah.
bluish gray,
Which
raw crab.
Which is delicacy for them back
Oof.
there. But like, I was like,
Mm-mm.
man, I just can't do
Nope.
it. And we're sitting like with 4 or 5 other Americans and then all Koreans at the table for lunch. And remember he ordered us all cheeseburgers because the Americans were like, just can't do raw crab. I just can't do it. And I think he just noticed that on his own. But he didn't like order them from the back of the restaurant.
No,
he Uber Eats them
he DoorDashed
to the restaurant,
yeah,
DoorDash, whatever it's called there. I don't
Yep.
know. And like a half hour later, all the Americans are eating cheeseburgers at this Korean restaurant. But actually, they got a kick out of that.
It's not like raw crab, what you're thinking either. I'm talking like the whole crab, the whole live baby crab was in a shell.
Yeah. I forget
it
what
was not
called,
okay.
but
we didn't.
We did not.
We liked those burgers.
Were
good.
They were really good. But we did a lot of the other stuff we did eat. It was good. I mean, I liked it.
I tried everything.
Yeah, we tried
I
a lot of
don't
different
like kimchi,
stuff.
so I didn't eat a lot of that. But
Korean barbecue and that spicy soup that they serve with
good.
it. Oh my
god, that was go back for
that.
that.
Gotta tell Emma to bring some of that soup home.
We had honeycomb ice cream.
Oh, that's right.
That
the
was
beach
good.
town.
Yeah, the beach town.
Yeah. Maybe we can try to put some pictures up.
I don't know how to do that
in here. We can try to figure that out. That'd be cool because that ice
it was
cream
beautiful.
was amazing. Anyway.
But yeah, that was South Korea. I mean, it was once in a lifetime. I don't know if we'll ever go back.
Yeah.
But if you have a wanting to learn the Asian culture, and I would 100% say go to Seoul and then take the bullet train down to Busan.
Yeah.
Because it was fabulous.
Very cool experience. So, very cool.
Other than that, and that's all we did in 24. Travel-wise.
That can't be it.
No, travel-wise, we went to Ohio and South Korea. That's about it. Right?
Yeah. What else do we have going on? Oh, I get asked about Lead the Way.
Yeah, talk about Lead the Way a little bit.
So
maybe give a quick backstory of Lead the Way.
Backstory is, I'll do the very brief version. Mm-hmm. When I was sheriff, we kind of got through 2020. In 2021, I sat down with myself and because when you're an elected official, and Snohomish County is a pretty big county, it's like I wanted to be able to give back in some way because I didn't know if I'd do 1 term, 2 term, 3 terms. I didn't know. It ended up being 1 term. So I'm glad I decided in January 21 to do this. And I am passionate about, Jill and I have raised a bunch of kids, but I'm passionate about youth in our community. I think sometimes youth don't always get a good shake from society. Sometimes I'll just leave it at that. Sometimes I don't think they get a fair shake. And sometimes I think what sometimes youth need is just like a kick in the butt, a step in a different direction. I'm a big believer in providing hope for people. And sometimes I think, especially when our youth, they live on their cell phones 24/7, like that's not a real world. I tell my own kids that and they yell at me or they laugh me off, but it's real. It's not a real world that they're living in when they're on TikTok or Instagram or anything else. I'm like, put the phones down and engage with people. And so that wasn't our program. That was a part of what we wanted to bring to any youth in the community that was willing to be part of our program. And so we did that, and we did it for 3 years. We did 8-week sessions, so it was a heavy lift. It was 1 night a week, but it was a lot to plan and organize. We did do Saturdays as well, and 1 Saturday during the 8-week session. Yeah. And so we wanted to provide, we called it providing leadership, encouragement, and direction for our youth in Snohomish County. If you haven't heard that, we called it the Sheriff's Lead the Way program. And we saw some successes in there. We saw some failures too. A couple of them really, that might be a whole podcast in itself. That was really hard to go through. But anyway, we did see some success stories, and we're still friends with families and the kids that we met through that program today, which is really cool. And so we thought we were really on to something with this Lead the Way program. And we got some rough kids in there, and we got some kids that just needed a little bit different direction. It was called Leadership, Encouragement, and Direction for our youth in Snohomish County. And it wasn't just us. We brought in it was very public safety focused, because one of the things we wanted to do with this program was bridge the gap between the youth in our community and law enforcement. Because you might not feel it today, but remember 2020? Yeah, rough for law enforcement nationwide. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Rough. Nobody liked the cops, especially our youth. And I wanted to try to bridge that gap to let the kids know, man, we wear this uniform, but we're just regular people. We truly want the best for anybody in our community. And kids were where our heart was, and it's what we want to try to bring to them. And again, we weren't there to steer them in any one direction. I just think sometimes kids get in such a monotonous routine of school, and they might not have that encouragement. They might not have the structure at home. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, we have to work so hard to provide for our kids and put food on the table. Sometimes there's families that can't do a lot of extra for their kids. And we wanted to provide some of that. I call it hope. You can call it direction, just a different thought process for kids. We wanted these teenagers to start thinking about not just that day, that hour, what they might be doing, because that can lead to very poor decision making. Think of your future a little bit. Like if we had a 16-year-old in our program, we'd sit them down and say, in 2 years, you're done with mom and dad. You're an adult in our society. What are you going to do? Are you even thinking about what you want to do? And of course, we would follow up with, you don't have to have it all figured out right then, but you do need to start thinking about it, or it's going to hit you when you're 18 and you're behind the ball. And that's what we were trying to do. We brought in guest speakers to the program, which we kind of learned. Some worked, some didn't, but you learn. That's the way you learn. Some were just fantastic. Some I would still listen to this day, even though I've heard the story, and it would still impact me. And if it's impacting me, I know the kids are at least thinking about it. They got to be. And they were, because we saw that through the efforts of our program and the people that helped us with that program. And so we did that as something from being the sheriff, though, from the authority of the sheriff, I was able to bring that program. And when you lose an election, elections have consequences. And that is one of the things that went away. And I think we should talk about this if we're going to talk about Lead the Way.
Absolutely.
Is people ask me, well, did you cut it or did she cut it? And it would have been, I think it would have been possible to carry on that program, but it would have been taking a lot of conversations. I'm not trying to be coy with that answer. I'm just saying, could I have started January 1st of 2024 and done it? No, I don't think I was in the headspace to be able to do that. But could have adults got in a room and talked and decided, well, this program's been going on for 3 years. It's growing like crazy and seeing success. Is there any way we can recoup or keep this program with a different sheriff? Those are just my thoughts, you guys. Those conversations never took place. She called my assistant after the election, but before she was in office, and basically said, get rid of that program. It's not continuing. Okay. That's it. Full disclosure. That's what happened. So even if I would have been able to, suck up my pride a little bit, and if someone had come to me, I think we would have had to try to consider that. I don't know what my answer probably would have been pound sand back then, but now it's like, I miss it a lot now.
Well, and I think it helps that people come to you and are like, we need that program.
Oh yeah. No,
they want you to continue that program because it's needed.
Yeah. And I think it says a lot about other people that have to make that phone call. And you have this literally one of a kind program in the country, you guys, one of a kind, right? And say, it's gone. I mean, what does that tell you? It's unfathomable to me, but hey, that's just me. Okay. I'm biased because I'm the other guy. So, but anyway, we had a really good thing going on. And then I have been asked, I think we've been asked, can you still do it? No, I can't do it as the sheriff. That's just not a possibility. Not going to happen. But can you start like a nonprofit? Of course, anybody can. And I think I've had enough conversations during 2024. It's been on my heart, and we prayed about it a lot. It is something that we want to start. I talked about this a little bit in 24, but so many things were going on, and it's just transition year for us. Your footing. Oh yeah, I think so. But this is the year. I think we are going to start it. But it's a lot more difficult because when you're the sheriff, you can say, I'm starting this thing. You don't have to worry about things like insurance and things like that. And when you're bringing youth in and things, that's a big deal. Who are you bringing around the youth, right? So a lot more thought is going into it. I'll put it that way. I do foresee us doing a nonprofit. A along the lines of what we did with the Sheriff's Lead the Way program to help youth in Snohomish County. Actually, we have to, because
We have to.
I can't look back in 10 years and think of what could have been. And actually, it's probably a better format. Is that the right word? It's a better structure as a nonprofit than being something, within a police department or a sheriff's office or something like that. Because then we can, I'm thinking long term. It would take years to get here, but we could provide scholarships to kids that are doing well, and we found a path for them. And what I mean by that is this: we house the program at the Snow Isle Skill Tech Center in South Everett, where they teach trades to kids. And I'm from Snohomish County. I grew up in the school system here. I didn't know that was an option, right? And I think some kids don't know. And so we house our program at that school. And then one of the nights of the 8 weeks, the teachers who loved what we were doing, the teachers will stay late after school, because we're an evening thing, and they show the kids, and they show them the individual trades, man. Like the kids get to go talk to the welding teacher, that was fantastic. The diesel mechanics. I still talk to the diesel mechanic guy. I know you know who you are. We've talked about this. It's coming, I promise. But man, I really appreciate your support. Remember the cooking school? They got a full commercial kitchen with cooking and baking. It's so cool, so cool. And what we want to do with our program is we want to guide the kids through this with the teachers. And all we're trying to do is start the wheel turning in these kids' head in a positive way, right? So much of society is negative. We want to start that positive thinking for kids.
You also wanted them to know that college isn't for everybody.
It's not, yeah.
And that trades are okay.
Absolutely, especially these days.
Yeah, these days it's huge.
Yeah, and the teachers, when we brought the kids through, will openly talk about, well, my student went through this year, and this year they're doing this and making this amount of money. And you could just see the kids. I mean, we have kids in that program to this day who just weren't old enough when they went through the Lead the Way program that are now at Snow Isle Skill Tech Center, that went through our program. And I'll give the kids full credit, but if we were even just a little piece of that to plant that in their heads that this might be an option for them, we need more of that in Snohomish County, and we're going to try to pull that off in 2025. That's our goal. So I will be sure to post that and things like that. Yeah, it'll probably be its own podcast, but that's the backstory of the Sheriff's Lead the Way program, what we try to do, why it's not here today, and what we're trying to do in 2025 to bring that back. We had a lot of support with that. We have some graduation. We brought some cool speakers in on graduation. And one of the things we talked about is long-term and short-term goals. I'm real big on that. I love that stuff, planning ahead. But there's sometimes, and I learned this, you got to have short-term goals along with long-term goals. Like if you're a 15-year-old kid in high school and your goal is to have some job in your early 20s, like that's a long-term goal, but you got to have successes along the way. So we tried to incorporate that into our program, where week 8 is a celebration for the kids and their families. So they get through our program. Week 8 is a celebration. We feed them. We bring in what we think is a pretty cool guest speaker, tell them about their own personal story and stuff like that. And the kids get gifts. And we just celebrate the kids that, hey, you did this 8 weeks with us. We appreciate you being here. We hope we taught you some things. And we didn't just kick them to the curb.
Nope.
We kept that relationship going. And evidence of that is just, and I told you this has been a couple months, but about 2 months ago, I hadn't talked to this one young man for probably about a year or so. And his mom reached out to me and sent me a text message and said, hey, she used the name that said, hey, he's graduating this year, and we would love it if you, and there was this other mentor that he really clinged to in the program, would come to the graduation in this June of 2025. And of course we said, yeah, that is cool. That is what, like when I first met that kid, I don't know that he was on the path to graduation. And that's just so cool about these kids, man, is they can be rough, but when you cut through that rough exterior and you're just real, you got to be authentic. Oh, another cool thing about kids is, and it's harder in adults, kids, if you're not authentic with kids, they see right through your BS. And some of them will just flat call you on it. And so that's why we just try to be authentic and real. And some of the speakers we brought in, I would tell them that. I go, look, this is what we're trying to do with our program. This is why we're bringing you in. You have full authority to be raw, real, open, and honest, because we are trying to impact these kids' hearts and their minds, And I think, I won't use his last name, but Danny was probably the best at that. And then Pastor Jeff was probably the best at that, probably those two in completely different ways. Danny is raw and open, and he has a story that will, man, how that guy made it. And now is super great guy. and then Pastor Jeff has a completely
Mhm.
different story, and he made it just. It's cool stuff. These kids just aren't getting this stuff
They're not
anywhere
getting
else.
this.
I just don't think they're getting it, man.
No, and I think what else it provided was it also gave parents extra support.
Yeah.
I think especially in this state, I'm speaking of one family in particular, there's not a lot of help for kids.
Yeah.
And they needed help. And we were there to give that, be able to assist them in that. And we're good friends to this day with them.
Oh, yeah.
So we also not only were there for the students, we were there for parents as well. And we've had many families reach out to you and
they still do
update or,
Yeah.
hey, could you come to this? Or we went to wrestling tournaments and we
Mhm.
went to other things for other students. So it wasn't just for the children.
Mhm.
It was for the parents as well, because some of those parents were pretty desperate for some help and some attention. And I think we gave them some of that too.
Yeah, and as the sheriff, he had a lot of resources I could refer
Mhm.
people to and things like that. But a lot of times it wasn't that.
No,
it was
just
just
us.
being there.
Yeah,
you know,
somebody
and-
to talk to.
And you don't. Some of that stuff can be intimidating. Like if you
Yeah.
have a teenager who's going through some serious, and there is some real trauma with teenagers,
Mhm.
right? And we weren't trying to be the fix for all of that.
Mhm.
We were just wanted to be there, listen to them. You don't have to have the perfect answers all the time. What people sometimes just need is someone to talk to.
Someone other
you
than
know?
their parents
I think so.
to talk
yeah.
to. And we've kind of stepped in and tried to give them that. So hopefully
Yeah. So we're
think it
trying
helped.
2025.
It's going to be exciting.
What else for
We're
2025?
ready. Ooh, I don't know. There's some good stuff down the pipe. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
No, I think it's good.
Trying to think.
We're trying to plan a couple trips.
hmm
Mhm.
I'm looking at my notes. What's the last one we have? I can edit that.
You
part
don't
out.
want to read that? You edit this out. That's
Oh,
Abby.
I can read. Our daughter added to our notes and said to make sure to talk about how beautiful she was. And I couldn't read it from where I was sitting, so that's why we're laughing. So, anyway, I think that's probably.
That's it.
Was there anything else that you wanted to say?
Nope.
You're still at your job. You're still working in the
Still
schools.
Love the schools.
You love it?
Love the kids.
Yeah. Not every day's easy, but you're still doing it.
That's every job everywhere, though.
Yep.
Everybody's going to have ups and downs.
Yeah.
So
So anyway, yeah, we're not going anywhere. We've had our moments where we've talked about the state's just losing its mind and we want to get out of here. But as of, well, I can't say as of, I mean, we're not going anywhere.
We're not.
We have
Not
this
yet.
house that we just built. You just said not yet. People are going to read into that and go, well,
edit
what
that
are
out.
you?
I'm gonna edit that part out.
No, do we talk about it like every other
Mhm.
normal person who wants to know what? Yeah, well, of course we talk about it, but we're just not. Our kids are here. Our grandkids are here. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I just, no, there's just, I don't know. No.
We'll edit all this out.
No, it's staying in. We have to be.
We have to be
authentic,
live.
or they'll see right
They already do.
through it. No, so no, we're not going anywhere. Since this is when I talked at the beginning, where people would see me or see my name when I was at work and stuff like that. Of course, I got to say it because people are going to. Oh, are you running again? I mean, I must get asked that. I'm not joking.
Careful.
3-5 times a week, I get asked that, and I'm open and honest with everybody. There's no way I can answer that. There's no way. Do I think about it? Of course I think about it. Absolutely. Do we talk about it? Absolutely. But I also follow up with this. 2023 was rough on us. Not for just the personal stuff that we just talked about that we had going on. It was not fun, and you got to be okay with that before you get into this political game. I never knew the race for sheriff would get that big that it did in 23, and the stuff that was said about me, to a certain extent, my family. But when it's said about me, it impacts my family. You know, I got an 82, almost 83-year-old mother in Lake Stevens that to hear all the bull crap that was said about me during that election year, that was tough. So don't know that I would want to do that again. But do I think about it? Yeah. And then I followed up with this, that I say if the sheriff's office is just doing great and everything's fantastic, no, I won't run. I won't run just for that. I ran because in 2019, I thought we need to be on a different path. So, and I don't know that just 12 months in, I can say that. There needs to be some more time. I do think about it. Absolutely, yes. There's a lot of things in the first term, especially of chaos with the pandemic and unrest and everything that we had to work through. That again, I wish I could have seen come to fruition, but didn't work out that way. But I'm probably getting on the details of a whole other podcast in itself.
Mhm.
But I think people wonder that because
We
I get asked all the
that,
time, and I just
especially
don't know
recently.
yet. I just don't know.
People ask that all the time.
Yeah, I think we were asked
And that's
earlier
that's
today.
a hard one right now. Yeah, today of all things,
yeah.
you got asked today.
So I just don't know. My heart is in Snohomish County. Again, born and raised here. We have this house that we just love here. We want to see our grandkids. We want to be close to them. I'm not giving up on public safety. I still love it. I still love going out and do the job. And I'll be honest with you, having the two different perspectives now. So going from graveyard sergeant to sheriff, 4 years, now coming back as a sergeant, that's a perspective that no one in the county has. No one in the state of Washington has. And are there things that I'm now out back on the street that I see that I go, I maybe could have done this a little bit different? Or I see and I go, well, that's kind of cool that we did that in that 4 years. I don't know that anybody has that perspective. And I think about that stuff all the time, you know? So anyway, still happy with what I'm doing. Not going anywhere. Don't know if I'm going to run again. Have no idea. So remains to be seen. You'll be the first to know.
Put that in writing.
I'm not putting anything in writing yet.
I don't know if I'm running yet.
Yeah. I just don't know. So we'll see.
That's in God's hands.
Yep. Amen to that. Absolutely. So with that, that's Jill and I. You are completely updated now. I think, like I said, 23 was rough and we got beat up publicly pretty good. I just want to thank everybody out there that did support us, or you saw through the BS at least to give us a chance to talk to you. And there were a lot of people that did. We did a lot of events in 2023. Just thank you for giving us a chance. I think society would just be so much more better off if there's a whole lot more of that going on and a whole lot less of the finger pointing and you're this and you're that, especially in a local race for sheriff. It didn't need to go down that way. It didn't need to at all. So just thank you to our supporters, because man, the people who do support us, man, you support us, and I appreciate that more than you know. And we did a really good job. The other people just convinced just enough voters to be scared into,
or lied.
Yeah, that could have been it too. Yeah, no, there was a lot of that going on. And I know we say that stuff, and if we're going to put it out there publicly, it's always important to me. Well, you better be able to back that up then, because you'll get called out on it. Trust me, I am not worried about being able to back that up at all. So we lived it. Hey, we lived it. We can say it. I am not for that stuff at all. I don't think it's good. And we see it on a national level every single day, and it's just utter chaos. Snohomish County doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. So
no, especially when you had a candidate that was like, "Come talk to me, come meet with me one-on-one," and then a couple did, and you changed their minds.
Yeah, we met with. I think we met with a lot of people.
You got those keyboard warriors and the people who just. There's always a few, and the few were really loud, and they were really loud. And for you to run again, we'll see. We got a lot of praying to do. Yep. But not now.
We're not deciding.
We got to edit this.
We got to do all the stuff we just said we're going to do first.
That's true.
That's a lot to do. That's a lot to do. But we're game. So anyway, thank you. I think it's important to stop and really, on behalf of Jill and I, we do want to thank you. No, I'm serious.
Absolutely.
For the support, because
it
was amazing in 2023.
We had some fun. It was fun.
And it was fun.
We met a lot of good people.
Beating up publicly is not fun.
No,
but the stuff that we did in the events,
the people,
man, we met people we would have never met before, unless we were doing something like that. And we try to stay true to ourselves. I wasn't trying to pass anything off as just an election thing or, hey, elect me because I'm saying the right things. I can't do that as a human being anyway, because you can see, right, just like I said, the kids see through you if you're not authentic. I think you can see through that political bullshit. Sorry, but it is. And I didn't want to be that way. I am who I am. No one's perfect.
No, and I think we surrounded ourselves. We had a small knit group of friends that kept us humble, kept us real, and let us unwind. That's important. Find your people. Yeah, and we will do one on the whole election year, because I'm sure just what we just said now might bring up some questions. Well, what do you mean? Well, what was said, most of especially if you're watching this, you probably lived it right, right there with us in 2023. But I'll do a whole thing on the election. We should do like
but
a
then
live thing where we answer questions.
But once I talk about 2023 on here, I'm done with it. Because
never again.
I don't want people to think I'm living in the past, or it's like, because it's a thing to throw yourself out there publicly, and I don't want to be that guy, because I've even heard this from some other politicians for state office that get super bitter and stuff, and it comes. I don't want to come off like that, but I do think it's important, especially in a race for sheriff where it's local and it's public safety. It didn't need to become political. like it
Mhm.
was, and the nasty stuff didn't need to be said. It just didn't need to. Like why? So
I don't
that's
know.
why I will revisit it. I'll go to, and it'll be my point of view. It'll be one time, and
Mhm.
then we'll
And
leave
then
it
we're
at that.
done.
It's all good. Yeah, done deal.
Podcast 1
In the books.
done.
We good? Thank you guys. Bye bye.